So perhaps Binks could tell us what was going on? Alright, so what he said was, after we finished with all the puzzles in the monastery, and Harbeck got his Okdrast, we were on our way out when I went out to scout around a bit, and Tabarin noticed some mushrooms that were sprouting up somewhat suddenly and unnaturally. And while he investigated, and Harbeck decided that, well, there are some barrels of booze here, we're obviously not going to leave that, and he hefted one onto his shoulder and noticed that there was something in it that was not just booze. So we opened it up and found some, like, mummified, preserved, I guess, better than mummified, dwarven corpses that we later identified as priests of...
Glorden?
I remembered this time because I wrote it down. I mean, because I made you write it down.
Priests of Glorden, and well, Glorden is a golden bearded dwarven god, much as Harbeck now has a golden beard. Anyway, I thought that them being priests or clerics or something of Glorden, they deserved a more fitting end than being shoved in a vat of alcohol. So we carefully carried these barrels out of the cave so that they could be given a more proper dwarven funeral. But by the time we got out of the cave, Tabarin had followed the trail of mushrooms off quite a ways into the woods, and we all went chasing after him to make sure that he didn't get himself into any unexpected trouble. And we talked about the fact that none of us really know Tabarin well. We don't know what his motivations are or even where he comes from, but we caught up to him, and he quietly told us all that he feels like he's getting close to home, and that Drudenash is dying. I, for one, don't remember exactly who Drudenash is, but I think he's related to Tabarin's access to magical power, perhaps. Not really sure, but I suspect we will find out shortly.
And that pretty much covers everything that happened. Also, really, Tabarin? Really? Really? You did that. You did that. All right, so
I did.
You're following Tabarin quietly through a forest, and Tabarin is following a trail of mushrooms and flowers and things that are popping up out of the ground in front of him. He's requested that you be quiet, and he's following the mushrooms, but you can still converse. He seems to be fairly distracted. I doubt he's going to notice some cautious talking in the background. Tabarin, you're still following the mushrooms deeper into the forest, and the forest is starting to turn from forest into a more marshy mangrove. Like, you're getting closer towards the coast. You've been traveling for about an hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Din. When you look at Tabarin, do you think, oh, obviously he's from a forest?
No, I think, oh, he's in charge.
Right. He seems like a city folk to me. I'm very surprised that he's leading us to his home now.
Well, he did just say that he's been away for 19 years. 19 years is long enough to adapt to a new environment.
Oh, Din, good news.
He did say
When
the
you look at
smell
me-
reminded him.
When you look at me, do you think, oh, she's a wolf? Maybe that was a bad example.
Not immediately. No.
Yes.
I do think that you are probably from a forest, however. Even if I don't get all the way to wolf.
Do I have leaves in my hair again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Make sure to remove some leaves from Ben's hair.
think you got it.
I keep putting them back when you sleep.
I don't need your help.
So
He's
this is
very
how I
clean
imagine
for a
this
man
happened.
from a forest.
This is how I imagine this happened. We follow really quietly for like 20 minutes, and then we start having like hushed, whispered conversation. And by the time the hour is up, we're just like walking behind him laughing.
It's so much easier to talk when we're not
the
running
leaves
at full
and
tilt,
hair.
trying to keep up with a horse. This is quite pleasurable, actually. I haven't had a walk through the forest and a chat with my friends in a long time. Why do I think forests are pleasurable? This is gross. They're made of wood. Where's the stone? What's wrong with me? I've been on the surface too long. You people, you're all in my head.
Is it true that dwarves get worried that they're going to fall into the sky?
Too?
Fall into the sky? No, lad, what have you heard? We're worried we're going to fall into the sea. We don't exactly float.
But when you come out
You
from
fell into the
underground, there's
sea
all
one
that
time.
sky. There's not always sea.
I feel
Right,
like we
but-
fell into the sea a couple of times.
We know how gravity works. Right, we're not worried about
Maybe
falling
that-
up to the ceiling of the cave either.
Maybe that was a valid fear that you had because you did fall into the sea.
I did absolutely fall into the sea.
A couple of times.
Harvick, these mushrooms, are they magic?
They're growing awfully quickly not to be. I think it might be
Okay,
nature
very
specific
magic,
pattern.
though.
Okay, so like, why I ask this is this a trap?
Tabarin,
Tavern seems...
It's not a trap.
Like the slug things? Those were a trap.
right.
Oh, it's been a while since I thought about those.
I wonder if
Well,
they're
I
still
mean,
proliferating at the bottom of the sea. No, the saltwater killed them,
Right,
right?
but every time the wave comes in, it like killed it. It was a very odd experience. But Tavern seems pretty confident it's not a trap. Gargantuous.
what if it's somebody who knows or knew Tabarin and didn't like Tabarin?
Then we'd better be right behind it. Okay, two things. How did that somebody know where Tabarin was? Because we were in a very remote location unknown to many people. Two, it's a good thing we're with him so we can help him if he gets in trouble.
I feel like we've come across traps before, and we're all still around. Well, except for Rogar. He's not around so much.
Who?
Tavern,
I missed Rogar.
the
Yeah,
path
me too.
splits and branches out left and right into about a 30-foot diameter circle.
If I notice this circle as I assume we're following, 10 or 15
Yeah.
feet behind Tabarin. As soon as I notice the circle, I'm gonna like motion for everybody to, the rest of us to stop and like let Tabarin have a moment here, because I think we just found the end.
Gingerly take a step into the circle. And
When you step into the circle, you feel a very familiar hum of just vibrance of life. Like it feels like the thing that happened 20 years ago. And you can feel a pull, but nothing seems to be happening.
out loud, I call out to Drudanash. Drudanash, I'm here.
Do you,
I'm home.
this is his home? The circle?
Shh. Where did he sleep?
Shh.
You told me to come and find you. That there was a reward.
Do,
But many months ago you also said you would take your payment.
as I hear that line, my daggers start appearing and disappearing in my hands.
That's like a nervous twitch.
Did he owe someone money?
Harbeck's going to
Thank
step
you for
over
the
the
gifts.
threshold of the circle and stand next
Sorry?
to Tabrin.
Okay.
Unless Tabrin gives him a look that says, don't do that.
Everyone, I need you with me.
Okay.
Harbeck, Din, Gargantius Brig. Join me.
Din
I
walks
step
over
up.
and holds Tabern's hand.
My little dagger twitch it is evolving somewhat now. I summon it and I spin it around before it disappears again. I summon it, spin it around, it disappears again.
So is
What's
everybody
going on
stepping
here,
into the
Tavern?
circle?
Yeah,
No, Brig
Yeah.
hasn't yet. Did you step in?
yeah. Brig also steps in, but he's still like doing his twitch. Is everything all right, Tabra?
Everything's good. He's here. I think he wants to talk to all of us.
As you all step into the circle, you feel the same thing that Tabrin's feeling. It's a vibrancy, an aura of life. You feel energized and youthful and like completely in tune with nature. Din, it feels like being back in the cave with Mum when she was teaching you about humans and you know, and the earth and how to live off it. And Harbeck, it feels like, you know, walking through the halls of stone that you grew up in. It just feels so like naturally in tune with you. Almost
feel that?
disconcertingly so.
That's what he means by home.
I am super curious about what Brig feels.
Yes, so I was just about to get to Brig. Brig, you feel like
Say
absolute divinity. You feel Harbeck. Well, I mean, Harbeck,
Big Harbeck hug.
you feel divinity. You feel like absolute inner peace, which is absolutely disconcerting for you, because that peace is not a word I would associate with Brig very often. But you feel absolute comfort and peace as you stand in the circle. And after a brief moment, as each of you, you know, take a deep breath and either panic because you're Brig or relax because you're everybody else, you like feel and see a white misty fog sort of encompass you, and it blocks out very quickly, completely obscures and blocks your vision of everything outside the circle. You can still see each other, but nothing else.
So when Brig first starts like feeling that odd feeling, his twitch goes away, and instead he is just gripping both his daggers, and he's kind of like hunched down in attack position, and looks very confused, and then decides that maybe feeling calm is okay, and
Harbeck's going to put a hand on
calms
Brig's
himself
shoulder.
down a little bit.
I hope that I don't get stabbed.
Yeah, such a ginger, like.
Please don't kill me for this. But be comforted, baby.
A few seconds later, the mist disappears, and you find yourself. If you can imagine an incredibly dense thicket, like a really dense, marshy, earthy thicket, like loamy soil underground, you're completely encased. You don't see any sunlight except that which is filtering through what looks like a rainforest canopy over your head. You're effectively inside a big dome thicket. It's about 50 feet across, and you're standing on one edge of the dome. And in the center of the domed area, you see plants and vines sort of entwining into like a bed, sort of. It's more like a lounge. And lounging on this bed is a creature that appears to be made almost entirely of plants itself. In fact, it takes you a second to realize there's even somebody lying on the bed. But he's definitely lounging on it. And he looks frail, like he looks ancient. But he's reclining there in front of you.
Tabrin fairly quickly moves to the center, to his side, and kneels. And just very quietly says, "I made it."
Harbeck pokes Brig. Is he a druid?
Who, Tabarin? No, I don't think so.
Well, what? But, okay.
As everybody else apparently is standing there in awe and shock, in a voice that seems to come from nowhere but everywhere at the same time, and it fills your ears and your minds, you hear, "You certainly did." It's a mini saw.
It's new.
Thank you for bringing me here. I wish I knew more of why things have happened the way they are, but perhaps time will tell.
I see you've gained much wisdom in your years on this world.
Are we still in Valeria?
Tabarin almost gets just a quick flash of anger, and then quickly goes back to calm and says, "I had no choice. I was on my own. I had to learn something."
And for that, I'll be eternally sorry.
Is my family okay?
No. I have much to tell you, and I don't have much time. Call your friends closer, they must listen as well.
Wave at them to come close.
Din walks up and takes Tabarin's hand again.
Tears
Briga's hat.
form in Tabarin's eyes as he sits quietly. You
Brig is
must
having
listen.
some weirdness trying to deal with this moment, and it kind of snuggles into Harbeck while we stand there. Like,
We haven't
I don't
hugged
know
for
what's
like
happening.
6 or
need-
8 episodes or something.
I don't know what's happening. I might need you to hold me.
We need to rekindle that bromance.
Harbeck accepts.
Accepts the hug, like a good friend. Tabrin, there are certain things that you don't know about your travels. Certain things that I don't expect you to understand even once I tell you. But my time here is finished. And so I've called you here and your friends to impart upon you the knowledge I have gained over the ages, in the hope that maybe it will help you to stop what is happening on this world, as I was unable to stop what happened on yours.
They're gone.
Yes.
Who did it?
I do not know his name.
Teach us
His
what you
presence, his presence on this world is what drew me here with you. Let me explain. When I took you from your homeland, I didn't just take you from the land, I took you from the time. As I watched your world be destroyed, I kept you close in the hope that one day you would be able to stop it happening again. All of the signs pointed towards you being the one I was looking for, and I'm still sure of that. When I saw the same thing happening here, I brought you back.
I don't know what to feel.
I don't think that will change. Not for some time.
I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm lost.
It'll take some time. It will take some time. To your friends, I'd say thank you for helping him. I do not know your place in what is to come, but each of you may gain something from my knowledge.
Does Harbeck feel like he should speak? Like, at this point, he's still like, don't interrupt because there's a thing here, and it's not your thing. We were invited closer to listen, and that seemed like an invitation to ask a question, but I just, like, give me an overall atmosphere so I can make a choice there.
He seems to have stopped speaking for now, at least. It's hard to say more than that. I mean, Harbeck has loads of experience dealing with
otherworldly
these situations.
Demi-deities, whatever this thing is.
So, Tabrin, not really able to to say much at this point, just looks to each of you and just tries to give you the impression that this is your moment too.
I feel I meant to ask you a question, but have no idea what to ask. Perhaps my question is, what do I need to know?
There'll be time to work that out. This is a safe
Everybody
place.
says that, but there's never time.
Oh, there's time here. Take some time to rest. Tomorrow we begin. And he shuts his eyes and slumps further onto the reclining bed couch plant thing that he's currently relying on.
I have an important question before we rest. Is Boozy here?
Nope.
That's gonna interrupt with my resting plans.
Did you leave anything on Steed?
I don't think Steed's here either, right? We didn't.
Steed's not
I
there
mean,
either.
I came up on Steed unless I wasn't supposed to.
No, you came up on Steed, but Steed's not there.
Oh,
Steve didn't
It's
make
just
the
the
journey
five
with
of
us.
you. Yep.
Hopefully Steed is well accustomed to his master disappearing and knows to just stay there, so he's there when we get back.
Steed's pretty loyal.
Yeah.
I guess he said sleep.
So Brieg walks over to where Tabarin is, I assume just trying to be alone, and this says basically to himself, to Binks, says, "You know, Binks, I have no idea what he's going through, but when he's ready to talk about it, I'd be happy to help." And then wanders back over to the rest of the party.
Is the
Tabarin,
yes, Din.
you're not Tabarin.
You're Harbeck.
Right. I just really wanted you to talk to me.
Tavern looks up.
I'm sorry about your mom.
And my 13 siblings. My father.
Yeah. Din gives Tabarin a hug.
In that childlike hug fashion that you just can't, if an adult offers you a hug and you're an adult and you don't want to be hugged, you can avoid the hug. You can shun the hug, but you can never shun the hug of a child. And even though Din is about as big as you are,
Right.
you can't avoid this hug.
I feel like, Tabarin is obviously not feeling great at the moment, and that sounded like a very angry response, and my siblings and my father and my he was and that did just yeah, them too. Hug. It's not reading the emotion, or perhaps reading the emotion perfectly.
Din's hugging Tabarin. Girgintius is Girgintius. I mean, he's great for cooking breakfast with, but not much for conversating. Brieg, maybe? Brieg! Brie,
What
come
is it,
here.
Harbeck?
Do you get the feeling that Tabern's from like another world and the whole thing doesn't exist anymore?
That is the impression that I'm getting.
Right? Do you remember the last time you felt like, oh man, I don't know where I'm from and I don't really have like home to go to, but at least you're from the same world that you're on? I can't even imagine. I can't even like. How do you? I know how to adopt a new home or like to adopt an adventuring lifestyle, but like a new world. That's I don't. He.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Harbeck, I've not had an easy life,
I know.
but I can't imagine. I can't even imagine what he's feeling right now.
Right.
I can't
Tavern
even.
stands up and turns to everyone. We can't worry about me. My world is gone. This has been my home for 19 years. I had the strength to find my way on my own. I have the strength of friends. And now, the most important thing to me is not to lose my wife.
You've
I've
got
spent
what
too
now?
much time away.
Get married?
She thinks I'm away on business,
Well, I suppose you are, of a sort.
and I suppose I am. But if this world is going to disappear just as my home did, we have to do something.
We should find your wife. Maybe she should stick with us.
She's back in Verne. She's
We
safe.
could go there next.
Your patron, is that the right word? Druidenash has offered to answer our questions, but I don't. Said something about drawing on his wisdom, but I have no idea what he knows. I don't know what sort of question to ask.
Well, he did say we should hit the hay, and then he'll answer our questions tomorrow morning or something. Right?
How does...
He did it that quick and shiz. You go ahead and go to sleep as soon as you're ready.
I'm having some
I'm
cosmological
confident we'll get safe here.
questions. Like, where do you put another world? Like, if you go... You can't, like, walk to another world. Like, that's not how... If you keep walking, you're in the world you were on. How do you... Wait.
How
So
did we
Brig
get
and
here?
Tabern, Brig and Tabern can both roll Arcana checks if they want. To
I was
see
just
how
gonna
much
start.
they know of.
We're just going to start making stuff up.
25 with a natural 20. Tabern,
Tavern
you...
is something of an expert of alternate worlds, turns out.
Yes.
Being from
from
one.
Having experience.
Go figure.
So Tavern, you have, like, during your studies, learned a little bit about the concept of planeswalking, of moving from world to world. You learned a little bit about the various planes of existence and the theory that there were more than one material plane. And while it's never been proven to be true, like you can never find any textbooks saying that, yep, there were multiple physical planes of reality that all entwined in some weird way, it's a theory, which, if Druidenash is being honest and truthful and accurate with what he's telling you, then perhaps it's true. And you could choose to relay that to Harvard if you want to.
Yeah, I would.
So,
I think
The
what's
way-
more
the
disconcerting
way I think
than...
about it,
Right, go ahead.
the way I think about it is like, imagine if our entire world were on the page of a book, right? And we can only see other things that are on that same page. And if you put another page right next to it, it could be really, really close, but we wouldn't be able to see anything on it because we can't see off of our page, right? So the circle that we just found in the woods is an area where somehow we're able to cross to the other page or something like that. I really have no idea.
Right, now,
So, like,
the most disconcerting thing here is that it appears you can just tear a page out of the book.
Right, so what we saw, well, is are we taking the world is gone to be that literal? Or just that?
Yes. I mean, it's been destroyed, right? And there's some connotation that ours is about to meet the same fate.
So, destroyed, just like annihilated, gone from existence altogether, or destroyed in that, like the vision we had of heaven being burned and turned to hell, it's also been destroyed, but it still exists. Really not an important distinction.
Right, so instead of tearing the page out, maybe we're
metaphysically.
just scribbling across it.
Right, or, burning it or something.
But still, on a scale that's terrifying.
Yeah, it's a terrifying thing that we're somehow have ended up tasked to do. I really need to find a way to talk to myself. I mean, I've got questions for me. Truth is, I don't even know if I know the answers, but I mean, I've got to ask her, I'll never know, right?
Right, and
Right.
I mean, I feel some pressure here. Right, like, I mean, I can't imagine, it's got nothing on the pressure Tabarin must feel. Like, hey, you were supposed to save the other world, but here's your second at bat. We probably don't have baseball. I don't think Harbeck would maybe reference that. Gotta watch your idioms when you're in character.
Oh dear. So, do you guys want to keep conversing before bed, or are we sleeping? What's the story?
So, I have just one more question. So, the world-destroying force that we are working against is a deity, right? We assume that what is threatening our world is centered around Kurtlemark and the other ones
Sarath.
whose names, Sarath. Are they? Do they span across multiple realities? Are they systematically destroying every page of the book, or is it a similar but different? I mean,
Maybe
is the situation?
they're cooperating with the destroying force, and it's not that they are it. I don't know enough about gods, which maybe I should start learning, as maybe we are them. Right, but at any rate, I don't know if they're bound to one world. I was kind of under the impression that there was the world, not a. Right, I don't. It's not something I'd thought about, whether they belong to one page or they can flip through the book as they desire.
Right, and
I have a question. Why
Yes, Tim?
would anybody want to be nothing?
Well, if you can flip through the pages of the book, maybe you don't die when yours is torn out.
I know that you've led a relatively sheltered life, but there are people that are called nihilists that people who've lived lives so
I have
bad
nylons.
or so sad or so whatever that they think that non-existence is preferable to existence. If you end up with a
But a whole
deity
race
that's a
of
nihilist
people?
that has no, it's a
And that could
you know how I have extra voices in my head, and that's sort of like a sickness of the mind? I think of nihilism as a different sort of mind sickness.
back at the Temple of Alistar, we learned a little bit of the history of the gods. Io and his 3 children, Bahamut, Tiamat, and Varel. We learned that Tiamat stole the secrets of creation and perhaps was responsible for the creation of maybe Serath or other Kurtlemock or who knows what. And perhaps with the secrets of creation, uncreation is a power that
Right.
is being exercised.
Or perhaps Tiamat or her progeny are intending to wipe the slate clean so that they can recreate in the way that they wanted it in the first place. You know, not nihilism, not non-existence for non-existence sake, but they're just trying to blank out the pages so they can rewrite the book.
Right.
Who knows what their motivation is? I think we need to stop them anyway. I really just don't know where to go. I think that I might have some answers for me, but I can't think of how to talk to myself.
What if I beat you to within an inch of your life? That seems to be when you come out, is to protect yourself, and then you could talk to yourself after you kill me.
Right, so it's the killing you part that makes that a terrible plan. Also,
Well, let's think about it this
a few
way.
times.
How important is it that you talk to yourself? And how important is it that I am alive?
Well, think about the times that Berivar has manifested in the manner that you're talking about. I never have any control in those situations, and all I feel is rage. That's not the Berivar that I want to talk to.
Right, okay. I'm glad that was a
before
bad
I've had
idea. I didn't want it to be a good one.
I once before had a vision of Elysium like we had in the monastery, only I was there and Berivar was there, and I had a conversation with him. That's when I started to figure out what it is that's going on in my head.
What if...
Maybe
don't know if there's a way to do that again.
Maybe there's an alcohol that will induce visions.
What?
Maybe the mushrooms.
Or perhaps I've just figured out what my question for Druidanash is.
That's good. What if we just meditate again? I mean, last time we were in a monastery around a pool. Here we're in whatever this is. And it's probably like attuned to things here, right?
Well, there's certainly no harm in trying.
Maybe we could get Tabarin and Gintius
I
to
have
come
a
with us
candle.
this time. Have a big...
I don't have a candle. I have a
Group
torch. But a
vision.
torch is kind of like a candle.
Where are we going?
Well, I don't know that we're going anywhere. I feel like any sort of meditation that I know is just going to put Gregentius back to sleep. But maybe that's not a terrible idea.
It worked for Babs the first time. I'm in Din. I'm bad at names.
So,
Yeah, go ahead, DM.
if you had other things you wanted to say tonight, then you probably want to get them out.
So I think that perhaps sitting in meditation for a while before we head off to sleep isn't a terrible idea. But I've tried it a few times and it hasn't worked other than that once. Also, I'd just like to point out that I have no idea what's happened to my accent at this point. I really don't know where I'm from anymore. I guess this is what a gnome sounds like.
Right, that's the thing.
I started out sort of Irish, and at this point, I really have no idea what I am. This is what Brieg sounds like.
Well, that's the thing, is this was never meant to be, like, Irish or Scottish. Maybe a bit inspired by, but definitely not accurately representing. This is just Harbeck.
Okay. Well, you know what? People are meditating or going to sleep. Tomorrow is
Probably
a big day for
combination of
everyone.
the two.
Probably a combination of the two. Tomorrow is a big day for everybody, and it's that time. So if you're watching on YouTube, the next episode, find out what happens with Drudenash's teachings. When the next video is up, which it might already be if you're watching this in the future. And if you're watching on Twitch, we'll be back in about 3 minutes. Don't go anywhere.